Welcome to Thrive by the Rising Muse. I'm Veda.
I'm Natty,
And
we
we
are
are
here
here
to
to
thrive. There's a voice you hear more than anyone else's. It speaks before you even finish a thought.
It comments on your tone, your timing, and your choices.
Hmm. Sometimes it sounds like you think it's motivation, sometimes like protection.
But most of the time, it sounds like disappointment.
Mm-mm. Today, we're naming that voice because you cannot heal what you think it's you.
Today, we're talking about our inner critic. Today's focus is awareness, not silencing, not fixing, not recognizing,
Yes,
but
we do
recognizing.
need to recognize.
Yeah, we do. That was a test.
Make sure everybody's listening. So, we, as always, will talk about psychology, development, and obviously faith to understand why this voice was formed and why it feels so convincing. So, what the inner critic actually is. The inner critic is not your personality, it's an internalized voice.
Often formed in childhood through repetition, through tone, through correction without repair.
Psychologically, the inner critic is a protector. It tries to prevent rejection by anticipating it.
If I criticize myself first, no one else can.
I'm glad I finally shut up mine.
I'm glad you did too. That's not self awareness, that's survival.
So, why does that inner voice sounds like truth?
The inner critic feels true because it's familiar. Familiar tone, familiar language, familiar emotional impact.
So, the brain confuses familiarity with accuracy. So repetition becomes belief. And that's very true. You know, we've often talked about when you tell a child that he's stupid all the time because you're repeating and repeating and repeating, he's going to think he's stupid. And when he grows up, he's going to think that he's stupid because all his childhood he heard he was stupid.
Yeah, and let's take it a little bit further. If you never hear that you are loved, you will grow up feeling like you're not loved.
Yeah, you're unworthy of it.
And then when they finally say it, and you look like they just grew a head out of their neck, and they wonder why you looking at me like that because you never said it before. Oh, you knew I no, I didn't.
Right.
Especially even if you were joking, you kept saying, no, I don't.
Right. Right.
So
on the other extent, we can also go to the other extreme and tell somebody they're so special, they're so special, they're so special that they don't know how to humble themselves because they think they're everything in a bag of chips.
Narcissism is not about God.
Right.
It does not come from God.
Right.
All right? It comes from the pit of hell.
Right.
Yes, I'm just going to say that. And faith can complicate this because some people mistake the inner critic for conviction.
But conviction corrects with clarity. The inner critic actually condemns with vagueness. So, what happens with the inner critic and the body? The inner critic activates the nervous system, causes tension, tightness, urgency.
This is why self criticism doesn't lead to peace, it leads to overfunctioning or collapse.
The body doesn't respond to bullying with growth. And that it comes either from bullying from external sources or internal sources. It usually responds with survival.
Which is why shame and anxiety often accompany a loud inner critic.
And that's very true. Anxiety is usually a voice telling you everything that can go wrong.
And shame is not what I've done. Shame is who I think I am.
Right.
Because of what I've done.
That's true. So let's talk about faith and the voice of accusation. And who's the accuser?
Satan.
Right.
Spiritually, scripture is clear about one thing. The voice of accusation is not God's voice.
Say it again for the people in the back.
The voice of accusation is not the voice of God, people.
Hello. God convicts specifically. The accuser condemns globally. So God may convict you because you did this. But the enemy tells you, you do everything wrong.
You messed up. Versus, you are a mess.
One leads to repentance. The other one leads to despair.
Yes.
So let's pause for a second. No, we're not breathing. Notice the tone of your inner voice right now.
My inner voice saying, I want to go Subway and get the tuna fish salad that's on the way now.
Okay, so is your voice kind?
Yeah, it was.
He's hungry, huh?
Said, please take me to Subway.
Is it rushed? Yes, because he's hungry.
Yes.
But is it harsh?
No.
Okay.
Say, you know you like that salad. That man know how to make the salad the way you like it. As soon as I walk up, he said, welcome. I'm like, hey.
Lord have mercy. Awareness is the first interruption.
Yes, it is. Meeting the inner critic is not about getting rid of it. It's about seeing it clearly.
Because once you realize this voice is developed to protect me, you stop confusing it with truth.
Hello. If the inner critic were effective, you would be healed by now.
Hello.
Yeah. Can I get an amen?
Amen. Because most of us have been hard on ourselves for years. And the reality is nobody's harder on ourselves than ourselves.
Right. We are our worst critic.
Right. And sometimes it's more than years. It's been decades. And yet we're not any calmer and we're not any freer.
So today we're asking a different question. What if the inner critic doesn't need to be obeyed?
Go sit down.
Yeah, but disarmed.
Not silenced, not fought, but understood and go interrupt him and tell him to go sit in a corner.
Like, boo, 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 boo. Go over there.
Go over there.
We started talking about how we met the inner critic. We talked about where it came from and why it sounds so convincing.
Now we move into the tools. Psychological tools, nervous system tools, spiritual reframes.
Because awareness without intervention keeps people stuck. And intervention without compassion creates a backlash.
Absolutely. So why fighting the inner critic backfires sometimes? Because many people try to defeat the inner critic by arguing with it. Yeah. Stop thinking that. Stop doing that. Yeah, if that would have worked, you would have fixed it by now.
Yeah. But the brain doesn't respond well to internal warfare.
Hello.
What you resist persists.
Have you ever tried to say, I don't want to think about the piece of cake in the refrigerator? And everything you see in your head and every other thought, when you tell you, I don't want to think about this, I don't want to think about this, that's all you can think about.
Exactly, especially when everything is off and you've got the thunder and the lightning going on the TV so that it can just send you right to sleep. But your brain is saying, I want something sweet. I need something sweet. No, you don't. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. And then most of the time, the yes, I do's win.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because the inner critic has been there for so long,
Yes.
he knows how to convince you.
Yes.
See, the inner critic interprets being fought as confirmation of danger.
You know what the inner critic is?
Mm?
A child going, mama, 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 mama.
Oh my
mama,
God.
Mama, mama.
So it gets louder. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you're like, shut up here, go over there. Here's what you want.
Well, I told your 5-year-old that I'm changing my name from Mima to something else. And he said, what you going to change your name to? I said, I'm not going to tell you. Well, I keep calling you Mima till I learn your new name. Yeah. 5-year-old. That's what he said. So
special. Mm-hmm.
This is why self-talk strategies often fail.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
You're the little engine that could.
That could. Maybe. I may be able to could. I may not be able to could. Because the nervous system hasn't been addressed.
You don't calm a threat response with logic alone. Have you ever been told, just calm down? How does that go?
Just calm down.
Yeah, tell that.
That's easy for you to say.
No, tell that to a woman pissed off. Just calm down.
Oh, really? So what you saying? I'm overreacting? What?
Ooh, you're really trying to start a war.
Yeah, you are.
Your calm is with safety, not with just trying to be logic when emotions are all over the place.
First of all, let me just say.
Yes.
That you are in a safe space.
Okay.
And you don't have to be defensive because I'm on your side.
Yeah, if whatever you did before that didn't make me feel that way, I'm going to look at you like you have 3 heads.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So the inner critic as a protective part. Let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm. In parts-based psychology, the inner critic is understood as a protector, not an enemy.
His job is to prevent rejection, humiliation, or failure. It learned early that criticism equates survival.
So when you challenge it harshly, it panics.
And the inner critic is not always a bad thing, because if you're somebody with no filter, it might help to say, don't say that right now.
Yeah.
The problem is when it abuses you.
Say it. Say it. Disarming begins with curiosity. What are you trying to protect me from? This shift alone reduces intensity because protectors relax when they feel understood.
One powerful psychological tool is called thought diffusion. It means you separate yourself from the thought.
Instead of saying, I'm a failure, you say, I'm having the thought that I'm a failure.
Right. And part of that is it doesn't become your identity. When you say, I'm a failure, you're making that your identity. Shame. Right. It's shame, but you're identifying as a failure. The fact that you're having a thought, it means, okay, I'm thinking this. It doesn't necessarily mean I am. That small shift creates distance.
It does.
You're no longer inside the thought.
You're observing it.
From over there.
This reduces the critic's authority.
Because thoughts are events, not commands. So how does the nervous system get in here and interrupts those thoughts?
The inner critic often activates during dysregulation.
That's a big word for when you're all over the place.
When the body is tired, when you're hungry, when you're overwhelmed, or you feel unsafe.
So one way to disarm it is to regulate the body first. Again, and I've said this before and you laugh at me, there's nothing more holy than a snack and a nap. If you're hungry, or you're hangry, you're not thinking right.
Right.
If you are very tired and sleepy, you're not thinking right.
And you're not receptive.
Right.
You're going to take things and twist it
Right.
and turn it into something. And I'm looking at you like, where did you get that from?
Right.
Slow breathing. Grounding. Temperature shifts.
If I'm hot, I'm not happy.
I've seen her.
Oh, yes.
She's not happy.
No. I'd rather be cold. But I can be hot because my brain just, again, goes everywhere. So these signals tells the brain, we're not under attack. This is not a threat.
A calm body weakens the critic's grip.
Right. So how we can reframe this within faith and listening to God's discerning voice.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually, many people confuse the inner critic with God.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, it's not God talking to you, it's your own little head. Because both address whatever behaviors you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. But God's voice is clear, specific, and loving.
Especially saying loving.
Loving. The inner critic is vague, shaming, and relentless.
Like that 5-year-old that goes, mama, 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 mama.
Mm-hmm.
Scripture says God leads with kindness.
Yes.
Not contempt.
Right. If a voice produces despair, it's not divine.
That's very true.
It's not of God.
Right. Anything that doesn't bring peace, even if you're being convicted, it should be, okay, I did this wrong, but it should be within a peace frame, not in a shameful way, because that's not the way God works.
Right.
Discerning the source of the voice is a very needed spiritual practice.
Yes, it is.
So let's practice something together. No, we're not breathing. Notice any critical thought present right now. Well, you don't have to fix anything right now. Just notice that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Because part of the importance is if we don't recognize when that voice is there and when those thoughts are there, we're not going to be able to navigate through the reframing and, regulating ourselves. Because the thought is like we're thinking it's just a thought. We're not realizing it's our inner critic or it's everything that's happening. So you have to be present and notice that. Okay?
Disarming the inner critic doesn't mean it disappears. It means it loses authority. I got a good example.
Go for it.
You take the battery out of the fire alarm, okay? You may not have an extra 9-volt battery,
Right.
And so it lets you know when the battery is dying and it beep, beep, beep. And that can
drive anybody crazy.
It really can. But then other people can turn it off. And even though it's still going off, they don't hear it. Okay? But then you take the battery out. That means that smoke alarm is not equipped anymore.
Right.
So if smoke comes up, guess what?
You're up a creek without a paddle.
There will be it'll still be doing beep, beep, beep.
As your house burns
You need
down.
to put a battery in because something ain't right here. Undiagnosed, but something ain't right.
So the good thing about it is once it loses its authority,
yes,
you stop obeying the urgency. Because like you said, it sounds like an alarm. You slow the process.
You respond instead of reacting. That's healing.
Now, we'll talk about replacement because silence isn't enough. Like I said, just saying be quiet is not going to work.
We'll explore how to develop a compassionate inner authority, one aligned with truth, safety, and faith. The inner critic thought it was protecting you, but safety doesn't require cruelty.
Right.
There That's not of God. Your inner critic calling you big fat cow.
Father in heaven.
That is
It's
not of God,
right,
people.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
Nowhere in the Bible.
Nowhere in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. They talk about a cow, they talk about getting milk or getting meat. Cheese, butter. But not a person.
Right.
Some of our inner critic can be
very cruel.
Very, very cruel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to know what my inner person said? My inner critic said, no matter how much weight you lose, you still going to have big arms.
You know, I was talking to somebody last week or something, and we were talking about weight loss. Mm-hmm. And she was saying that she had lost a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. And everybody's noticing that she has lost a lot of weight. Now, this woman had lost like more than 60 pounds. Mm-hmm. And she was like, and I don't see it, but everybody sees it, is that mm-hmm. body dysmorphia. And I said, well, you know, I'm not a doctor to put a diagnosis on that, but I will tell you this. I went back in 2011, 2012. I went from a size 24 to a size 14. Mm-hmm. I've showed you those pictures. Mm-hmm. But I see those pictures today mm-hmm. in 2026. I don't see a skinny person. I don't see a small person.
Well, you know why? Because
your
brain still sees you as overweight.
Right. I am now, but at that time I wasn't.
When mm-hmm. I started losing weight, mm-hmm. And went to Catherine, mm-hmm. I went straight to the size I used to be.
Your plus sizes. Uh-huh.
Yes. And whoever I was with noticed that. I think it was Tanya. Mm-hmm. And yes, we were trying to get me a dress because I was graduating from discipleship 1 year mm-hmm. with Grace Ministries. And she said, why are you going back to you know she crazy, right? All right. Why are you going back to a 26? You're not 26 anymore. Mm-hmm. And then she had to work her way down to show me I wasn't a 26, I was a 22. Mm-hmm. But my mind still mm-hmm. says I am still that same person.
Right. And I was right there with you. Mm-hmm. Because when all the way down to a 12, I was still going to the plus sizes, not realize. And I remember we had an event at church or something. And, you know, they have shirts for the events. I was still asking for the extra large.
And wonder why it looked like a dress on you.
When I could have ordered the large mm-hmm. and be fine. Mm-hmm. And at one point I did order the large. I was like, wait a minute, this thing fits? But still, my brain wasn't in that. Mm-hmm. And I remember a friend of mine, we went to a store and made me buy a 10 skirt and a top. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so that's my next goal because I was a 12. I'm going to get there. I wore that top that same, like 2 months later mm-hmm. for New Year's Eve celebration. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking a 10 shirt, mm-hmm. which I was still a 12. It was tight mm-hmm. at what I wore. You know what I was looking at in my pictures in my the mirror? Not that the shirt was tight, not that it was a 10, about my big ham of arms, because it was a sleeveless, that I was like, oh my God, look how big my arms are. Not at the fact that I had a size 10 shirt on. Mm-hmm. So this time I'm trying to be more kind to myself. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of healing in me, and now I'm
a lot.
You know, the journey is different too, because
it is.
My journey now is more about health than looks. Mm-hmm. Although both are going to be together, but I'm planning to be. And things have, like I said, a lot of healing has come. I'm going to try to be a little bit more centered, but I know those thoughts are going to come mm-hmm. because, again, they're going to be there. Mm-hmm. I just have to tell it, wait a minute. If you've lost this amount of weight, No, you don't look like you're a balloon from the Macy's Day Parade.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm-hmm.
you're smaller, and no, you don't need to go back to the 3X.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can get to the 2X or the 1X now.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a process, but it does, and it's not just, again, we were talking about being called names. When somebody tells you can't amount to anything and you want to try something, but if I've been told all my life I can't amount to anything, I'm not even going to try.
Or when they tell you you're not going to amount to anything and you spend the rest of your life overachieving to prove them wrong.
Right. Right. Because you're still hearing that voice that has turned into your inner critic saying you're not good enough.
Anything.
You're not good enough. Right. So it's one of those things that affects us for life, but it doesn't have to stay there for life.
The Bible tells us that life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Right.
If you're talking negative all the time,
yes,
that's death.
Yes.
Okay? And if you're talking positive, even in the midst of chaos, okay? You don't just do that naturally. You have to train yourself, train your mind to talk positive. It's easy. Do you know it takes more muscles to frown
than to smile?
I've
heard that. But here's the other thing. People will say, oh, but that's denial. No, it's not that you're going to lie to yourself, but you can be kind to yourself. For example, going back to the weight loss, instead of saying, oh my God, I still look like a fat cow. Okay, I'm losing some weight. I'm working on it. I may not look the way I want to yet, but I'm working on it. So be proud of the fact that you're working on it. And you're not where I started. And it didn't happen in 2 days. Don't freak out. You didn't put the pounds in 2 days.
And one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be the finest cow in the pasture. Yes, you will be, girl.
You said the finest cow.
The finest cow in the pasture. Yes, you will. Be like, ooh, look at her waist.
Might be a giraffe or a zebra. Oh, Lord. There is a moment in healing that feels strangely empty. And it happens after the inner critic shuts up.
Not gone. Just no longer in charge.
And people often say something unexpected. I don't know what voice to listen to now, because he's like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Because the inner critic doesn't just criticize, it organized your life.
Right, because it had all the power. So let's talk about what comes next once you finally were able to manage your inner critic. Because silence alone is not healing. The fact that you were able to tell it to sit down doesn't mean now everything is peaches and cream.
Something must replace the voice that once led you.
Yes, indeed. So first we identified what the inner critic is. Then we learn how to disarm it.
Now we talk about replacement.
Get rid of it.
What actually takes the critic's place?
Because the brain does not function without internal leadership. If you remove one voice, another one will emerge.
The question is whether that voice is rooted in fear or in truth.
So why does the brain need an inner authority? Psychologically, humans need internal guidance. In other words, we were wired this way. And we all have an internal narrator. And if you are a writer, or you're just crazy like some other people like me, your life is not being narrated all day long. You need to just pick what you listen to, and when you go like, go over there.
Go in the corner and read a book. When the inner critic dominated. It acted as authority.
Mm-hmm.
Not a healthy one, but a familiar one.
I'm going to stop there and I'm going to tell you why I laugh about read a book. You know how when you're trying to call somebody ignorant, you tell them go read a book? I think that's a bad advice. I'm going to tell you why I think it's a bad advice. You're not telling it what book to read. Why did they read a cookbook? That's not what you were trying to tell them to. Why did they read The Cat in the Hat? That's not going to instruct them to get the knowledge that you were trying to get to them.
But what if they're not a good reader and they just go grab a book and start reading it? Any book is good.
Yes, but when you tell somebody to read a book, you're usually trying to tell them to get educated on a particular subject.
Because I don't think that you are very intelligent.
Well, because usually that phrase comes when somebody says something wrong about a particular subject, and historically, politically, economically, whatever. You tell them, you know what, you don't know what you're talking about. Go read a book. But you're not telling it what book to read. So if you're telling somebody that they're giving medical advice just to say something, and you're telling you're wrong, go read a book, and they read The Cat in the Hat, that's not going to fix the problem. So instead of just saying to someone, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, to read a book, tell them what book to read. Anyway. So when people say, I don't trust myself, what they often mean is, I've never heard a kind internal voice.
Hello.
Whew. Because this internal voice has always been screaming at me.
Yeah.
So I know what to believe.
Yeah. And for too many years, my internal voice was telling me, you're not good enough. You're not lovable. You're not small enough. You're not this. You're not. And I always had people tell me, oh, you're so beautiful. Really?
You need new glasses.
Because I didn't see myself.
Right.
I would have people tell me I was beautiful all the time. My grandma, Elizabeth Wisnett Chappelle, miss you, Liz. She would tell me every day and twice on Sundays that I'm beautiful and I'm intelligent and, I could talk to anybody. But when the inner critic in me is saying, no, you're not. She got to say that.
But your grandma.
That's family. That's your grandma. She can't say you ugly. Yeah. You scare me. Wow. Dumb as a rock and all this stuff. It was like, oh, grandma. You ain't got to say it. But replacement doesn't mean affirmations that feel fake.
Right.
It means building a voice that feels safe, true, and consistent.
So let's talk about that, how that compassionate inner authority comes to be.
A compassionate inner authority is not permissive.
Yeah, it's not like the voice is going to be like, you're so good, now go do everything you want to do.
It still provides direction.
Right. But it does so without a threat and without humiliation.
It sounds like, that was hard. Let's figure this out.
Right. The voice supports accountability, but without shame. It sounds like growth without cruelty. Back to the weight loss thing. So let's say this day you went to party, and there's nothing wrong with having a piece of cake because when you're trying to be healthy, it's a lifestyle. It's not, diets are not the way to go because that's just restrictive and crazy. But so you had that, you're fine. But your inner critic says, shame on you. You're trying to be healthy. You had a piece of cake. That's why you're fat. Blah 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 blah. The nice one will tell you, okay, you ate a piece of cake at the party, no problem with that. Now don't go home and eat pizza and eat another cake. You already did this. So, pace yourself for the rest of the day.
A lot of people don't realize that food is an addiction, just
Mhm.
like alcohol, drugs,
Mhm.
TV,
Mhm.
certain things that you like to see or whatever.
Mhm.
You let that control you,
Mhm.
it will become an addiction before you know it.
Mhm.
Okay? So
And
we have to change
right.
our way of thinking, our way of talking to ourselves.
And that's a good idea for a whole episode, because here's the issue, especially with food. See, when you have an addiction to drugs, the absence of drugs takes away, works the addiction. The absence of alcohol works away the addiction. You cannot not eat because you're going to die.
Right.
So, it works in a different way. And that's a good topic to go talk about.
So when we do that topic, it'll be by Veda. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And this voice must be practiced. See, I can't get out on a tennis court, try to dress like Serena, and think, I've never practiced, but I know I can. And you're going to get out there and play with the pros.
Oh, I would like to see that.
I bet you would.
Ah.
Because it was never modeled for many people.
Right. So if you
gotta be realistic.
Right. So have also realistic expectations. You've had this voice in you
all your life.
So again, it's not going to go away until you practice.
Right.
The brain changes through repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, if you're a parent, you taught your kids how to say words by repeat. People, when you want the kid to say mama, 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 you don't say mom and go away. Mm-hmm. You keep mama, mama, mama until the kid actually says dada, dada, dada. But you keep doing the repetition.
That's true.
How do you learn how to read? Practicing. How do you learn how to, nobody got into a car and drove the first time.
Right. I wasn't born driving.
Right. Eating. I remember the messes the child used to do with the spoon. You had to get control of the spoon, before he learned that, motor skill. Mm-hmm. So everything in life has required repetition.
Dre. Mm-hmm. Dre say I could drive. Have you ever driven? No.
There's a lot.
But I've been watching you. I could drive.
There's a lot of things Dre says.
Really? But I felt that way. Mm-hmm. Until you get in that driver's seat, mm-hmm. and it's like, okay, what do you do first? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I can drive. Mm-hmm. But all of these things go into driving. Mm-hmm. Okay, he thinks he can just jump in a car because he's the right height and his feet touch the pedals. Mm. It's so much more.
Yeah, the fact that you stand in the middle of a garage doesn't make you a car.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Like that.
Talking about Dre think he can cook. He can make stuff in the microwave. But cook, that's a whole nother conversation.
And then our question is microwave skills. That day that my kitchen was full of smoke, I'm thinking I'm about to lose my house.
You're about to make me dizzy.
I'm like, somebody burning something, and I go out and I got smoke coming out of the kitchen into the dining room, and and I'm like, oh my God, what are y'all burning up in here? And then you got two teenage boys, well, one grown and one teenage, looking like, oh no. Do you not see the smoke? And then Lawrence in the other room going, what is it? Would you get up and help us find what it is? Who? Dre.
He's 14.
The cook, right. Chef Dre, put ramen noodles in the microwave and forgot to put water in it. So when you put ramen noodles in a bowl with no water in the microwave, guess what happens? It burns up in the microwave and the smoke seeps out, and you walk in your kitchen and you think your house is on fire. Y'all better find them flames. They ain't losing my house. I even had them to let the steps down from the attic. to see if something in the attic was burning. And then after I opened the microwave. And then he goes, oh, this is what, I forgot to put water in the noodles. Really, Dre? Really?
Well, I'll tell you about Dre the cook. He told me he could do pancakes on his own, which is fairly easy. And he got in the kitchen.
Only when you know what to do.
And he got in the kitchen and he stands in front of the stove. I was nice enough because I could have let him struggle and put all the stuff he needed. And he was looking at it. So what do I do now? You told me you knew what to do. So yeah, repetition, people.
So what it needs to say is, I can cook with proper supervision and guidance.
Right. So again, repetition, not intention, which is what he had. He had plenty of intention, but no repetition.
And this is neuroplasticity. What you practice becomes your default.
And you know what? That's very important to say when we're talking about the inner critic. If you practice negativity, that's going to be your default. If you practice positive, realistic, but positive, that's going to become your default. At first, that compassionate voice feels weak because you haven't heard it before. Awkward.
That doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's new.
Right. Consistency matters more than intensity. Gentle repetition rewires the system.
Yes. Spiritually, this is where healing deepens, because many people have never separated God's voice from their self-criticism.
God's voice brings clarity. The inner critic brings accusation.
God creates he corrects us, and he creates hope in us. The inner critic condemns without direction.
Scripture describes God as a shepherd, not a drill sergeant.
Learning to internalize God's tone, not just God's truth. That's transformation, and it's transformative.
And see, that's going back to when we read the Bible. Sometimes we just read what the word says, but we need to kind of figure context so that we can get the tone of how God is telling us, whatever he's telling us. So, when you lose that critic from you
that you've been using,
you might have to go through some grief because it's a loss. So how do you let go of that old voice? Because there's grief in releasing that inner critic, even if it was harmful.
Because it helped you to survive. It kept you vigilant.
So honoring its role doesn't mean that you can keep it or keep it in charge. It means acknowledge what you needed back then
and recognizing what you need now.
Right. So let's practice replacement together. Notice a critical thought.
Now imagine responding to it the way you would to a child you love. You talk about my big arms.
What?
I'm sorry. The inner critic. Remember I told you, it said no matter how much weight I lose, I'm still going to have big arms. I said, you talk about my big arms again.
I was like, Lord.
I'll beat you senseless.
And remember, you're not going to lie to yourself. You're leading yourself.
Yes. A compassionate inner authority changes everything. Decision making, boundaries, rest.
You stop needing crisis to justify care.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to take care of yourself because, oh my God, you're depleted.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take care of yourself because you need to take care of yourself. That's
True.
what you're supposed to do.
That's true.
You stop earning your worth. You're worthy because God created you. Period.
Yep.
Stop. No comas.
And faith becomes relational, not fear-based.
Yeah, I remember growing up thinking God was this big eye in the sky that was trying to zap me every time I did some wrong. Not that it was a God that wanted a relationship with me and loved me.
Mm-hmm.
He was just trying to zap me.
And see, here and when you're growing up, not understanding the pastor,
Mm-hmm.
especially if he's not going to speak so that even a child can understand what he's saying.
Well, and I don't know how it was for you, but back in my childhood days, we had like Bible study
Mm-hmm.
for the kids was on Saturdays
Mm-hmm.
at a separate time. But when we were at service, it was everybody. There was no children's ministry where the kids are away.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he's saying to the grown-ups, I'm there listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm understanding what I can as a whatever, and I was Catholic, so it's called catechism.
Mm-hmm.
And you take those classes either on Saturday or if you're in a Catholic school, you take it as one of your classes. When you're at church during Mass, everybody's listening to the same message. I don't know if that has changed. If you're Catholic, if that has changed. I'm not trying to, but that's how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's talking about going to hell, my 5-year-old self, not my baby, my 5-year-old self, that's what they're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
My 10-year-old, that's what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it like I said, I thought he was just a eye in the sky. Okay, did she do wrong today?
Mm-hmm.
Zap.
He's a zapper. Mm-hmm.
This is not self-indulgence. It's maturity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The inner critic shaped you,
Mm-hmm.
but it does not define you.
You have to not let it define you.
Because too many times our inner critic defines it.
Yeah, and that's
Mhm.
because we haven't healed and not worked on it.
Right. Right.
You are allowed to choose a different voice. And that's the invitation we are making today.
Yes.
Work on healing and choose a different voice.
Yes.
One that sounds like truth, because that condemnation and that bullying is not the truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One that sounds like love. And put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
If your inner voice don't sound like any of the fruits of the spirit.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Thank you. That just came to me.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Elaborate.
If it does not sound like the fruits of the spirit,
mm-hmm.
love, joy, patience, kindness, all the good adjectives,
mm-hmm.
that's not a good inner critic.
Right.
Okay? It's going to say, you're impatient.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve love. You can't love. You just unlovable.
Mm-hmm.
You're not patient. You're not kind. That's not a voice you need to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You ever heard somebody talking, you want to hear what they say, la, 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 la,
yes.
la. That's what you need to do to your inner critic.
Right. And again, it's not about appeasing yourself and lying to yourself. I mean, because as humans, we're going to do things that are wrong. But, and we have to be accountable for those things and realize that we did things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between, okay, I messed up and I need to either fix this or forgive myself for this so that I can move on, versus you are the worst person in your life because you did this. I mean,
you're a mess.
And you're a mess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you did something wrong to somebody else, you go make a mess, you apologize, all that fun stuff. So your inner critic should be something like, okay, you said this to so-and-so, and you hurt their feelings.
Even though it wasn't your intention.
Hopefully. Hopefully. So, and you hurt their feelings. So you need to repent for that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go over there and say, I know I hurt your feelings, so I'm sorry your feelings were hurt. No. It's like, I really didn't mean to do that. I apologize for that. So you still have to be accountable for the things that you do wrong, and you still have to repair and make amends. But when you're talking to yourself, you can't be like, I am the worst person in the world because I hurt somebody's feelings or because I did something that was not okay. It's like, okay, I did something wrong. I acknowledge it. I go to God for forgiveness. I practice, which is the hardest thing, self forgiveness. And then, if amends need to be made, then you work on those. But it's not like you're gonna. I know I'm gonna mess up this word, so I'm gonna ask you what the real word is. Like what they did to Jesus with the whip, flagellate. Anyway, beating yourself up. That's easier. Don't beat yourself up. I'm sorry. I was whip could be, yeah. Yeah. So I get stuck with words. But yeah. So yeah, don't beat yourself up.
Don't beat yourself up.
Because that's not the love of God.
No, it's not.
He's gonna hold you accountable, but he's not going to beat you over the head. So that's not the way.
God doesn't talk to us like, oh my God, you are useless.
Never.
You're never going to do anything right. I can't believe I died for you. I mean, really, God doesn't talk to us that way because Jesus chose to die and said, forgive them for they know not what they do.
Not only that, he knew what we were going to do.
He knew
2,000 years after.
He knew that Adam and Eve was going to screw up in the garden. He knew this. He knew. He knew one day in the cool of the evening when he called for Adam, that he was going to try to hide his private parts. How you know you got private parts? We never talked about that. How you know? Well,
yeah,
the woman, the
Mm.
woman that you gave me, she brought me this fruit because the snake told her.
Did Adam know that the snake had told
we weren't gonna die? You just didn't want us to know as much as you would,
Right? And the woman punched him in the face. No, I'm just kidding.
We do not advocate violence.
No, we don't. No,
we do not. But
like,
we need a voice that sounds like love, like the voice of God.
Right.
Okay? And I tell you, babe, I've said this before. When you got a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend, whatever, and they would call and, and every time they call, they say, hello, this is John Patrick Lee Jones.
That's a long name.
See, once you learn their voice,
it's John Patrick.
You know who it is. Like, hey.
Hey, baby.
Hey. We need to learn God's voice like that.
Right.
Okay?
If somebody introduces themselves as John Patrick, John might be a serial killer. Just run. Because that's too long.
This is your boyfriend, John Patrick Lee Jones.
Yeah. That's a serial killer. Just run.
Run!
That's too much. That's a weird introduction.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to hear the voice of God to the point where you can recognize it.
And when you commune with God, you develop a relationship with God, like you develop a relationship with people.
Right. That you love.
You get used to the way people's voices sound. Certain people, I know when Malik is calling. I know when Dre is calling. I know when the twins are calling. I know when Mason is calling. I know when Lawrence is calling. I know when you are calling. I have to say every time you call me, this is Natividad Matos.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, hey, girl. How you doing?
Sometimes not even that. We go straight to, I called you to tell you. As we close today, First, thank you for spending this time with us.
Yes.
We don't take it for granted. If it resonated with you, please connect with us on social media. We are at The Rising Muse on all platforms.
Mm-hmm. And help us reach 1,000 followers on YouTube. So many conversations can reach many, many more people.
Right. Important. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, please dial 988, or you can text to that number as well.
Mm-hmm. And if a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, dial 911 or go to the nearest emergency room.
Mm-hmm. If you believe you may be in a domestic violence relationship, call 800-799-7233 or text 887-888.
Please make sure that you are safe when you are reaching out for help. You were never meant to be led by fear. Let me say that again. We were never meant to be led by fear. We were meant to be guided by truth.
This is Thrive by the Rising Muse. So until next time,
Don't forget to thrive.
Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.